So in the last class we have discussed about the losses in the transformer, okay, and the no load operation of the transformer. So in the last class we have seen that even when the transformer is on no load, okay, or the moment transformer is connected to primary winding, primary supply, then it starts getting the supply from the source, so that it will satisfy some losses in it and create the magnetization in the core. Okay, so only we got the two components of the current, loss component and the magnetization component of the current, IW and IM. Okay, so loss component IW is responsible for satisfying the losses in the core, and at no load condition only the core losses will exist. Copper losses will be considered to be zero, because the current drawn by the source or by the transformer from the source is so less that I can directly neglect the copper losses at no load condition. Okay, and only the core losses will exist at no load condition, and this core losses will exist of the same value even when the transformer is loaded at its full load condition or at its partial load condition. So the iron losses or core losses or magnetic losses are the constant losses of the transformer, whereas the copper losses are the variable losses of the transformer. So in the last class we have seen the copper losses, the variable losses, and we got to know that copper losses are equal to, the total copper losses are equal to WCU is equals to I1 square R1 plus I2 square R2. The reason for which the copper losses occur is R. If the resistance of the winding is made 0, then the copper losses in the winding will become 0. But practically I can't make the resistance of winding 0. Therefore, copper losses will exist in the electrical machine, whether it is transformer, motor or generator. Okay. So this we have seen. Today we will be seeing the constant losses, that is iron loss. Because these are occurring in the iron part of the transformer, that is core, it is called iron loss. Okay. It is also known as core loss, because these are occurring in the core part of the transformer. Okay. And this is also known as magnetic loss. Okay. This is also known as magnetic loss, because this loss will occur, this core loss will occur because of magnetization. So this iron loss are of two types. So iron loss are hysteresis loss and eddy current loss. Hysteresis loss and eddy current loss. I think you have heard the word hysteresis in physics when you were studying in 11th or 12th standard. Okay. So this hysteresis word, it came across the magnetic materials, okay, especially ferromagnetic materials. Okay. It will come in ferromagnetic materials. Okay. So this you have studied in the theory part, where you were studying the atomic magnetic theory or molecular magnetic theory. Okay, you have studied the molecular magnetic theory. Okay, so because of hysteresis process, or because of hysteresis effect, or because of hysteresis property, there will be some loss, or there will be some power consumed from the source by the transformer core. Okay, hence we call it as loss, because that power is not getting transferred to secondary side. Therefore, it is called loss. And because of eddy currents flowing in the core. Okay, now the question is why the currents will flow in the core. We will discuss when we go to that point. Okay, So first we will say hysteresis. Okay. So when we say hysteresis, a leaf-like structure will come in front of your eye. Okay. So when you draw the BH curve, okay, BH curve for the magnetic material, magnetic flux density and magnetic field strength or field intensity, okay. So this is the magnetizing force. X-axis is the magnetizing force, Y-axis is the magnetic flux density. So as I increase magnetizing force, magnetic flux density increases. It means that as I increase magnetizing input, I get magnetization of the material. That is the understanding. Okay. So if you want to understand this at a very simple level, let us consider this as magnetizing current, ion, and let us consider that as magnetization flux. Because area of core is constant, so as I increase magnetizing current, my magnetic flux will increase. Because area is constant, magnetic flux density will increase. Okay, this is the visualization to understand. Now, as I increase, because we know electromagnetically, the flux density is obtained only through the current in the coil, ampere turns. Okay. So if I increase the magnetizing force, okay, if I increase the magnetizing force, then my magnetic flux density will also increase. But how it will increase? Initially it will increase linearly. After some time it starts taking a curve structure, and after some time it will remain constant. After some time, let us take point X. After the point X of magnetization or magnetizing force, my magnetic flux density will start remaining constant, and this is called saturation. This is called saturation of magnetic material. Okay. Now never ever for any electrical machines I should go beyond the point X. No electrical machine should go into the saturation of magnetic parts, because once saturation of magnetic parts reached, the rate of change of flux is zero, hence the energy transferred or energy converted becomes zero. So never my magnetic parts in the electrical machine should get magnetically saturated. This is called magnetic saturation. Okay, this is called magnetic saturation. Now once this saturation, or suppose I increase only till the point of saturation, I will not go beyond that. Suppose I have increased the magnetizing force in some steps. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 and step 5. So I have increased the magnetization in 5 steps, whatever may be this 5 units. It can be current, it can be magnetizing force, whatever you consider magnetic input. Okay. So now what I will do, as I was increasing the magnetization or magnetizing force in steps, I observed the increase in magnetic flux density. Okay. Now I will increase up to 5 steps. Now I will start decreasing the magnetizing force from the 5th unit to 0 in the same interval of steps. Now I will decrease the magnetizing force from 5 to 4, 4 to 3, 3 to 2, 2 to 1, 1 to 0. I expect the decreasing curve of the magnetization or the demagnetizing curve. This is called magnetizing curve, because as I am increasing magnetizing force, the magnetic flux density is increasing. It means flux is increasing. Therefore, the core is getting magnetized. Hence, it is called magnetizing curve or magnetization curve. Now, as I go on decreasing in the same number of steps, the demagnetizing curve should follow the magnetizing curve in opposite direction. The demagnetizing curve should follow the magnetizing curve in opposite direction, but it won't happen like that. The demagnetizing curve will take a different path. The demagnetizing curve will take a different path. Okay? And when I decrease the magnetizing force to 0, ideally my flux in the core should become 0, or my flux density in the core should become 0, but it won't become 0. It will be having some value of magnetization. And this is called OA. Let us take OA is called residual magnetism. OA is called residual magnetism. It will be so because of one property of magnetic material, and that property is called as due to retentivity of magnetic material. Due to retentivity property of core. Here I am discussing core, so core. Okay, what is retentivity? It is the ability of a magnetic material to retain the magnetism even when the magnetizing force is 0. Okay, it won't be suddenly happening. For the first input it won't happen. If I take this, suppose this I am a magnetic core or magnetic material, all of a sudden magnetization will not occur in this. First I have to magnetize this. Okay, if the retentivity of this magnetic material is say infinity, then only with one's application of magnetizing force, this will become a permanent magnet forever. Okay, so the natural magnets are having retentivity of almost infinity because throughout their life they are magnets. Okay, but that is not the case with core. Okay, why I am using electromagnet? I am using electromagnet so that I can control the magnetism. I don't want in many cases the residual magnetism. When I make the current 0, my magnetization should become 0. This is my requirement actually. But by the nature of the ferromagnetic substance, it is by the nature of ferromagnetic substance, I can't change the nature. Because of the nature of ferromagnetic substance, okay, there will be retentivity property by the possessed by the ferromagnetic material. Hence, I cannot avoid this hysteresis or this residual magnetism. Now, if I want to make it 0, if I want to make the magnetization 0, what should I do now? I should apply the magnetizing force in opposite direction. So at some point my magnetic flux density will become 0. So this much of negative magnetization I should apply, the magnetization in opposite direction. Okay. Now if the current further increases in opposite direction, because remember I have AC. Okay. My input current drawn from the source is an alternating current which is having same positive part and negative part equally. I have equal positive and negative parts. So what happens in positive part, what happens in positive half cycle, opposite thing will happen in negative half cycle. Okay. Now the current will increase in the negative half cycle to its negative peak. So the flux density can increase in opposite direction to some point, say y. Now after reaching its negative maximum, my magnetizing current starts going towards 0. Okay, it will start going towards 0. Now again there is some magnetic field existing in the material because of retentivity. Okay. Generally this OA and let this be OB will be same because it is because of the same retentivity property of the same material. Now when this go beyond 0, next positive half cycle, okay, it will go to some value and it will reach the point x. Never ever this curve should go beyond point x. If it goes, it is saturation. My conversion of the or my induction of the EMF becomes 0. d phi by dt will become 0. Okay. Once the magnetic flux is remaining constant, it means that what? Flux is remaining constant. With respect to time, flux is same. So d phi by dt is 0. Okay. So only the differentiation of constant is 0. You cannot differentiate a constant value because constant value is of the same value for infinite timeline. From minus infinity to plus infinity, a constant value is the same value, 2 is 2. That's it. Okay, it won't change. Even if the time changes, today it is 2, tomorrow it is 2, after 10,000 years also it is 2. Therefore, differentiation of constant is 0. That is the meaning of differentiation. Okay, I can't differentiate with time. If the things are changing with respect to time, then I can differentiate it with respect to time. Or in general, if the things are changing with respect to some variable, then I can differentiate that thing with respect to that variable. Okay, that is the meaning of differentiation. Now, this is one hysteresis loop. Okay, and area of this loop is nothing but my hysteresis loss. Okay, area of this loop hysteresis loss is equals to area of hysteresis loop. But every time I can't find the area of this loop because this is one loop for one cycle. I have such 50 cycles in 1 second. Okay, and I don't know for how many hours the transformer is running or operating. So therefore, this is not the practical way to find the hysteresis loss. This is the conceptual understanding. Okay. So why the area of this loop is hysteresis loss? Because in magnetizing and demagnetizing, it is consuming some amount of energy. To magnetize, it is consuming some energy. To demagnetize also, it is consuming some energy. See, actually the property of hysteresis is nothing but the property of irreversibility. Hysteresis means what? In a magnetic material, hysteresis is in magnetic material. Hysteresis in magnetic material is the property of magnetic material due to which the magnetization and demagnetization curve will not coincide. Okay, it is the property due to which magnetization and demagnetization curves will not coincide. Okay, see, this is magnetization curve. Let us take C. OC is a magnetization curve, CA is a demagnetization curve. They are not coinciding, they are not overlapping. Okay, if this magnetization curve and demagnetization curve would have been overlapped, then hysteresis loss will become 0. I don't get this loop. Okay, so because they are not overlapping or not coinciding, the hysteresis loss will occur in the magnetic material. But at the time of fabrication itself, I can make sure that this hysteresis loop is smaller and smaller as possible. It means that my hysteresis loss can be kept very low. So therefore, the silicon steel material, what I told we are using in the core material, is one of the best core material we have, which is having very less hysteresis loss, very minimum hysteresis loss we will get. Therefore, we use a silicon steel material, mild steel. Okay, silicon steel. Okay. Now, this property of hysteresis is present everywhere. Wherever there is irreversibility, there is property of hysteresis. Even it is in us also. Now, to understand hysteresis, simply remember. Suppose a person is climbing up the hill. Suppose a person is climbing up the hill. Now, I have a hill. Now, one person is climbing up the hill. Now, this person will reach at the top here. Okay. Definitely, he will be consuming lot amount of energy while climbing up the hill because he is moving against the gravity. Okay. So, lot amount of energy is consumed by this person when he climbs up the hill. Now, suppose he will decide to roll back. He want to get down the hill in the same path, not on the other path. In the same path, he will decide to come back. Okay. He will just roll down or he will just get down. Let us take get down. He will start getting down. Suppose he will take the same amount of time. Will he gain the energy? Definitely not. Exactly, he is doing the opposite work. Okay, exactly, he is doing the opposite work. The person is climbing up the hill, so he is spending energy. Okay, when he is getting down the hill, because to roll from top to bottom, I don't need energy. Very less amount of energy is required to do that. But even when he is coming down the hill or down the slope, okay, considering the same amount of time or whatever the conditions, it is not true that this person will gain the energy. Okay, so this process is called, this property or phenomena is called hysteresis. So hysteresis is the property present in almost every material or almost everywhere. Okay, where it is the property of irreversibility. Once the energy is spent in doing some work, if I reverse the work done, then I don't gain the energy. When I reverse the work done, then also the energy is consumed. Okay, so the entire consumption is nothing but my hysteresis loss. So hysteresis losses is in us also. Okay, so this is all about hysteresis loss. There is a formula, okay, for hysteresis loss, an empirical formula. Hysteresis loss is given by WH. Hysteresis loss is given by eta Bm raised to 1.6 F into V watts. Okay, where eta is material constant, eta is material constant, Bm maximum flux density in core, F frequency of supply voltage, and V volume of the core. Okay, V is volume of the core. Okay. So this is the formula for hysteresis loss, okay, which is empirically taken. So this is all about hysteresis loss. Okay, so we have one more loss called eddy current loss. So this is a transformer core. Now this transformer core, the moment I connect the transformer winding to primary source, okay, or the source voltage, the primary winding will carry the current. Let us take I naught. We will not worry about whether there is load or no load. Okay. This current I naught, when flows through primary winding, it will create a flux. So this is flux phi. So don't think that this flux phi will exist only on the face surface of the transformer. The flux is existing in the every bit of transformer core. Okay, so let us assume this transformer is now made of solid material, not laminated. Okay, later we will see why laminations are important. Let us assume that the transformer core is made up of thick solid silicon steel, not with laminations. Okay, so now this flux phi is of the nature of the current, and current is of the nature of the voltage. So voltage is sinusoidal, therefore current is sinusoidal, hence flux is sinusoidal. This we know already. Now this sinusoidal flux links to secondary winding. There is a change in flux linking to secondary winding statically, hence an EMF is induced in the secondary winding statically, mutually. Okay. Now the same flux phi which is existing in the core is also linking the core and changing. This flux phi is linking secondary winding because the nature of flux is changing and EMF is induced in the secondary winding. Now look at the core. Core is also the conducting material only. Iron parts are conducting materials. They are good conductors of electricity. Okay. So now this flux phi is linking the iron part. Therefore, there is an EMF induced in the core also. Because the nature of flux is alternating, the flux which is changing is linking the core, therefore an EMF is induced in the core. That we call it as eddy EMF. Eddy EMF is due to change in flux phi in the core or linking the core. Okay, it has to link because core is the path for the flux, therefore flux has to link the core. The moment flux starts linking the core, eddy EMFs are induced. But eddy EMFs will not be there in the core for a longer time because core is short circuit on itself. See, this surface provides the closed path. This surface provides the closed path. Front surface provides the closed path. Everywhere there is closed path. Okay? Each surface is a closed path. Therefore, what happens? On each surface, there will be a circulating currents. Random direction. There will be a circulating currents in random directions. Okay? These circulating currents in the core are known as eddy currents. Okay? These circulating currents in the core are known as eddy currents. Okay? So this eddy EMFs create currents, circulating currents in core as core is short circuited or core is a closed path or core is a closed path on every surface and even inside the bulk of the material also on every surface. Okay, So these circulating currents are eddy currents. These circulating currents are eddy currents. Okay. Now these currents, what they are doing? They are circulating in the core against the resistance of the core. Now if the resistance of the core is very high, the eddy current losses in the core are very high. Now how does it matter with my total output? Okay. Because even if I have some output or I don't have some output, even if I have some output or I don't have some output, that is even if the load is there or no load is there, flux has to exist in the core. When flux exists, eddy currents occur. Okay. Now what is the problem with the output? How? By minimizing the eddy current losses, I am increasing the output. Okay. With the existence of eddy currents in the core, which are flowing against the resistance of the core, okay, the temperature rise of the transformer will increase. It will increase the heat of the core. And you just observe, if you continuously operate any electrical machine for 1 hour, it is sufficiently heated. Now just if your water pump is accessible in your house, when you lift the water from the sump to the overhead tank, you just go and touch the motor surface. It has become so much of hot. Okay, the temperature of that motor has raised to a large extent. Even though that water pump is started only for half an hour, for example say. Okay. Now these transformers are operating 24/7/365 days for years together. Okay, a distribution transformer operates at least for 5 years continuously. At least for 5 years. After 5 years, they may be taken for maintenance or replacement, whatever it is. But let us consider any transformer operates only for 1 year.